Hello and welcome to this very special episode of Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18. A few weeks ago, we were in the Mecca of advertising and marketing, the Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity, speaking to the who's who of the global industry. It was no surprise that top on everyone's agenda was AI and its impact on people and organizations and the disruptive trends sweeping through the consumer marketing and media landscape. I spoke to global leaders across companies to find out what their priorities are and where they see the big shifts happening. First up is Sir Martin Sorrell, who is the founder and executive chairman of S4 Capital and the visionary media and advertising leader who built WPP, the world's largest ad holding company. Listen in to find out what Sir Martin thinks are the key transformational forces changing the world as we know it. Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18.
Good to be with CNBC-TV18 in Cannes.
In Cannes.
We're better off in Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore.
I think
so.
You're a big fan of India.
Yes, I am a big fan.
And you've been a champion of India.
Yes.
When was the last time you were in India?
Pre-COVID, I think it was. Yeah, so it's about time that I got myself over there again. We have a very good business there. Small. Yes. But growing very fast. I think actually one of the trade magazines said it was the fastest growing agency ever in India. So I think I can quote that without fear of retribution. So they're doing very well, but we need to obviously have more scale in India, but we're getting there.
Right,
I'm working with Indian brands, interestingly, that are going abroad.
Yes.
As well as Indian brands that are developing their business in the market that will be number 3 in the world by 2050.
Absolutely. And so, okay, since we started speaking about India, Sir Martin, I'll stay on that track, and then we'll get to, of course, other focuses like AI. But just give me a sense of what your vision is for the India market, for your company. And given the fact that you've seen the market evolve over several years, many of those as the chief of WPP. So how has the market evolved for you? What are some of the focus areas? What are you excited about? Where are you investing? You are a visionary.
Well,
we want to know where you are. What's the next big thing according to
the world is becoming more fragmented. So globalization is not over.
Yes.
But it may not be deglobalization, but certainly that phase over the last 50 years is really diminished and it's becoming much more fragmented. So North and South America will become more important as a pillar.
Right.
You see companies diversifying their supply chains, Apple, Tesla going into Mexico, etc. America wants to make America great again and have manufacturing back in America, but I don't think high-intensive labor manufacturing can go back there. So nearshoring, offshoring, so North and South America. Middle East on fire. Just had several meetings here. I mean, Middle East for us is what we call a whopper. If I put together everything that we're doing together in the Middle East, so that's huge. And then Asia, Africa question mark because of the volatility. But our markets like Nigeria, like Ethiopia, like South Africa, Kenya, that are really important and growing in importance, but there is volatility. And then Asia, I'll come back to Europe in a second. Asia, again, on fire. If you look at 2050, as we were talking about before, you'll have China number 1 in GDP, US, India, Indonesia or Germany in that order, one way or another. So 3 of the premier division will be from Asia. And with the 3 big problems in the world, geopolitical, are obviously US-China relationships or lack of them. Secondly, the war around Ukraine and Russian expansion or imperialism. And then last but not least, the Iranian nuclear threat. So those 3 things mean that things are becoming much more splintered. And the security risk around Taiwan means that those companies with big positions in China are questioning them. Or you see Sequoia splitting into 3, so Indian business, Chinese business, rest of the world. You see AstraZeneca, I think it was, saying that they're going to split off their Chinese business. You can see more of that happening. Obviously, American companies with some trepidation about China, given the political situation and the rhetoric back home. So India is the big beneficiary of that. But not just India, it's Vietnam, it's Indonesia, it's Malaysia, it's Thailand, it's the Philippines, it's Singapore. I mean, all these markets, not old Asia, if I can put it that way. Japan will still,
Yes.
Warren Buffett buys into the 5 trading companies and the market's on fire. Australia and New Zealand still be important despite the cricket, despite us losing the first test. So all of that. So I think India really is in an extremely strong position. Now, you've got Indian entrepreneurs now, not just building their businesses in India, but building them globally.
Yeah.
And remember, without going into the detail, confidential, I mean, we're involved in several moves of that nature where Indian companies are going global.
Okay.
So it sort of mirrors what you see in Chinese. People say the platforms don't have Chinese businesses. They do. The outbound Chinese market for Alphabet, for Meta, for Amazon is huge. You can see that from the TikTok numbers. ByteDance does 90. I think it's going to do 90 billion this year, and 14 billion of it is outside China. On TikTok. So, but ByteDance is obviously more complex than TikTok. So, with that as background, Modi is doing the right thing. I mean, Modi is building the Indian brand. He's in America at the moment.
Yes.
And to put it crudely, playing both ends against the middle. And I think that's the place to be. So you're going to see the alignment of the West is going to be much narrower. If, God forbid, there was any conflagration around Taiwan, what would be the West's response? Would France, Germany, Italy, and Spain respond? And I didn't say on Europe. I think the prospects are much less about revenue growth than about cost management. So I think people are worried generally about lack of growth in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the UK. Particularly in the UK post-Brexit. It's anathema. I shouldn't say that, but I believe that. So I think net, India is in a very strong position, and I would be. If I was a raging bull before, I would be a double raging bull.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. But let's zoom in on India a little bit more. Of course, sweeping changes through the country, the digital revolution, for instance. We just saw right now one of the best IPL seasons, given its digital-free streaming and record-breaking numbers. CTV is growing. The media landscape is going through immense change right now. So just give me a little bit of your view on, specifically speaking about how the media landscape is changing and what are some of the opportunities for you. You mentioned, of course, you're working with Indian companies, Indian startups, taking their brands and businesses.
Well, not so much startups, established companies that having built big positions domestically. I mean, far be it for me to give anybody any advice, but just intuitively, you would say you have a huge domestic market, exhaust the opportunities, and it's rather like China, exhaust the opportunities that you have in the domestic market, and then think about the US and elsewhere. I mean, probably the US is where you go first, but not easy to do.
Absolutely.
Not just about geographical distance, obviously cultural differences, etc., but tremendous opportunities. And the entrepreneurial energy and spirit, Mittal's and Barney's and Adani's, and I mean, it's incredible. So, and some of them, Mahindra. I mean, these are people that are, have not just built businesses in India, but are increasingly doing it abroad. So, in Indian, funny, I had my reunion back at Harvard Business School. All the best professors at Harvard Business School are Indian. The dean's Indian, the best AI professor is Indian, the best on work from home and DTC, direct-to-consumer brands. I mean, all the sessions were run by Indian professors. So
Indians are running global companies. The list of global CEOs that are of Indian origin is growing.
Absolutely, and they play well. That's because they're good cricketers. But anyway,
we must come back to cricket once again.
We'll come back to it in a minute. So I think really that big opportunities. Now on the media markets, it's about a 900 billion market. About 650 billion is digital. It's about 65% of client budgets on average. It's going to be 75 by 2025. So huge growth. And in a world which is slowing down in terms of GDP growth this year, and with advertising forecast by the holding companies to be up 5%. But the thing that hits you in the eye is digital up 7 or 8%, which is where I think the platforms will end up this year, and technology services transformation 7 to 10%. Analog, actually in America, down, with the exception of Fox and Disney, who have sports content, live sports, going back to IPL. with the exception of those, the free-to-air networks are under pressure. So addressable TV becomes more important.
Right.
The retail wall gardens become more important. So targeted TV becomes really the way that analog tries to deal with the digital revolution. So you're going to see a continuation of the trends that you just mentioned.
Yes.
So, and in India will be no different. And with with smartphone technology,
Low cost data.
low cost data. Well, I mean, clients have to be more agile. I mean, three things clients should be doing, I think, in my view: agile, take back control. After the great financial crisis, they tend to outsource more. We have three models. We're, the outsource model, the embedded model, where we put people into our clients.
Right.
They're wearing client T-shirts, but they're on our payroll. And then the last but not least is the first-party data, right? That's absolutely critical. With the deprecation of third-party cookies, with the IDFA changes that Apple introduced, it means that control of first-party data. I mean, all clients, in my view, should look at their data agreements with their agencies, because one of the ways that agencies have tended to try and control things is by controlling the data. And the data, coming back to AI and AGI, data is the core for that. So ingesting the right data, collating the right data. So getting the data platforms right, integrated, easily facile to use, and then pumping that into AI. I mean, AI engenders fear as well as wonder. I mean, the initial reaction is, wow, look at what we can do with this, and then, am I going to lose my job?
But thank you so much for your time,
Pleasure.
Sir Martin. It was lovely chatting with you.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a short break, and on the other side, we have more from Cannes Lions with one of the world's and certainly one of India's foremost creative minds, Prasoon Joshi, speaking to us exclusively. So stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching a special episode of Media Dialogues with Storyboard 18, featuring our conversations from the recently concluded Cannes Lions Festival. Next up, we have Prasoon Joshi, CEO of McCann World Group India and chairman for McCann APAC, sharing his views on the future of creativity and India's growing creative clout on a global stage. Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18, Prasoon, and it's so lovely to see you here in Cannes. At the MasterCard Villa, away from the madness of the Palais this time. Let me just dive right in, Prasoon, and ask you about something that has, of course, been the talk of the town. And not just this town, but the world. Generative AI and AI. Now, as someone who's been in the creative arts and creative commercial field, give me your sense of what you're seeing, and where are you? Are you on the side of the hype cycle, the fear cycle, somewhere in the middle? Give me a sense of what you think right now. And this is from a pure sort of industry titan creative view.
Yeah. So the fear which you're talking about, I won't use the word fear. There could be anxiety. For me, someone like me, there is anticipation, because I feel and technology being used as a tool by creative people always, and we have so many examples of it.
Right.
So one example I just gave. Question is, AI is much more than that. It's not a specific. It's actually going to change the way we work overall. And if somebody denies that, I know it's not going to impact one industry, not impact another industry. It's going to the very fundamental of the way we are going to work. It's exactly like the way internet did.
Right.
The way, a child or a school-going child will give you logic that, why should I memorize historical dates when I've got Google in my pocket?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So those kind of fundamental question AI also brings in with itself. And so one has to, one optimistic side of me, which would be love to be challenged by technology and would compete, I would say. That side is always there, and I would love to use AI also as a tool. But at the same time, since it is a significant change in the way human race is developing, I think it's important that we also examine what it entails, what it brings with itself. It was very surprising for people that Sam talked about regulation himself. Yeah, it's about being very conscious of what kind of, because eventually AI technology, everything, go deep down into it. For what purpose are we going? Where are we going as a human race?
Right.
I think those fundamental questions, people would say they are philosophical questions, but they are very, very relevant questions at this time. And where are we as a society, as a world?
Our
where are we
future.
anchored? Where are we anchored? Our anchoring is very important. I think that would guide us somewhere. That anchoring has to be correct. That anchoring has to be in human good. The anchoring has to be
in human
in the planet.
advancement. Yeah.
So somewhere those questions, this is the right time to raise those questions. Creativity. Why do someone create? Why would I create?
Right.
Is it to make money? Is it to make someone happy? Or is it something more than that? Is it self-expression? I think those things have to be. And where would those things stand? I think yesterday's session in the music with Will.i.am, he was talking about the fact that the likes. So if you write a poem, say 2 lines, and you say, please create something like this. Now you say something like this means you have indicated something.
Yes.
So your intent is up there. So I think it's very important that somebody who's put his or her intent up there is valued in this whole process.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
So that credit or that belonging, which is there for a creative person with tactile sense of belonging, there's going to be a big question.
How has the sort of approach to advertising changed in such a tumultuous time where we're seeing media changing, we're seeing these new technologies? Give me your top 3 takeaways from Cannes this year.
Yeah, I think one thing which last year we talked about was more about meaningful work or
Purpose.
And I think the purpose is still very much there. I feel the purpose has the short-term nature of purpose which people felt during the pandemic time has now gone into becoming very much part of the ethos of the companies. A lot of things have been imbibed for good. I could see that the approach of many companies have, from short-term to long-term purpose, has come. Also, not just speaking of good, doing good action. And most of the work which I've also liked is that where there is actual on-ground change has been tried.
Yeah.
So I think people want to see the proof of what you're doing, or you're just talking
Proof
great
of purpose.
things.
Yes.
So proof of purpose is one I could very much see there.
So you're seeing that measurement
Yes.
of those campaigns being dialed up and the KPIs that you
Yes.
put on it. Absolutely.
Yes. And I think action on the ground is which has been backed with communication. And
Right.
so I think those are the things. I think simplicity, seeking simplicity, is again what happens to us is that when everything is so complex around us and so many variables, you tend to go towards simpler ideas. I think I could see very
interesting
reminiscence of some very simple things which people used to do. Simple, ideas which were very easy to grasp, easy to understand. I think I could see that.
You've been, as I mentioned, you've been attending Cannes for many years. India has had some good years, some not so good years. Last year was a record-breaking year for India. Biggest ever tally, the most impressive tally, not just the quantity of medals, but the quality of medals, the number of Grand Prix, and for stellar work, of course. And so it's not been such a good year so far for India. Is that something that you are particularly concerned about, or do you think it's just cycles that,
No, I think...
and the whole sort of idea around, measuring awards, the number of awards and all of that, do you think, what's the impact of a bad year?
I have never been for measuring awards, okay, because I always felt that when you measure awards, then it benefits the larger companies. Some boutique shop which has only got 2 accounts, but has won a Grand Prix or won a gold for something which is fabulous. I think I always said that award shows should talk more about work than number of tallies. When those are, for me, yes, the way the game is played. I mean, we all play to win, but eventually the work and talking about the work
Has
is more
to talk,
important.
yeah.
And what concerns me, yes, of course, that India could have done better, or yes, but this has always been there. One good year. Last year I was here holding gold here in our hands, and I'm celebrating for McCann. There have been years when you won Network of the Year, all those things. Few years you don't. So, but well, I would have been happy for India if we had a fabulous year.
Right, yeah.
But that's okay. I think our creative people have been very much interested in the new technology and the discussions which have been around.
And embracing it and
embracing
utilizing
and
it, right?
And I think we have got great talent in our country, and I am very hopeful that we are going to do better in terms of awards. But we should not be obsessed with numbers. The one idea, it comes out 1 year, and which is like just. We have to be irrespective of which agency it comes from. It comes from my agency, it comes from McCann, or it comes from, yes, people sort of market it, and that's fine. That's part of the game. I get that. But I think irrespective, being agnostic to the source and married to the idea is what I would be. And that's why I would come to Cannes and listen to people and celebrate great ideas. That's what the spirit is.
It's a great note to end on, Prasoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We had many more fascinating and illuminating conversations at the Cannes Lion Festival of Creativity this year, covering everything from AI, the future of creativity, and the future of jobs, to the other mega trends upending everything as we know it. Catch them all on storyboard18.com. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.